This week's Minisode is the first of its kind. You could consider it a bestie Minisode because my best friend Taryn and I hit record on a conversation we had about my recent Taylor Swift miracle. So she will be in this episode, and it literally is just you listening in on conversations I have with her almost every week, if not every other day. We always talk out ideas and inspirations, and she's been one of my best friends since I was like 19 years old. So I'm really excited to share this with you because you'll get to be introduced to her and then also hear the story through her lens and her perspective because she was with me the whole time on the phone, helping me figure out how to get a ticket when it was nearly impossible. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And if you like it, we can have her on again. So just let me know. Okay, so I know we have talked on and off since I went to Taylor Swift about the miraculous story that happened. And in case anyone hasn't heard the episode, I'm going to just give a quick recap. So Taylor Swift came to New Jersey 2 weekends ago for her Eras tour. She had 3 nights at MetLife Stadium. Friday's night 1, Saturday's night 2, Sunday is night 3. And for like a month or two, I knew that I wanted to go. And I even, Taryn, you can support me on this one, but even for my birthday back in April, I was like, my husband kept asking me, what do you want? Taylor Swift ticket. What do you want? Taylor Swift ticket. Taylor Swift ticket.
We were having conversations saying, I kept asking you think Matt's going to get you the ticket? Do you think he's going to get you the ticket?
And I said, well, I wouldn't be surprised, or I would be surprised if he didn't, because that's literally all I told him I wanted.
Yeah.
And so when my birthday came around, he said, so the tickets are like $2,000-$3,000, but let's say it's your gift so that when it comes closer to the date, maybe the prices will drop and then we can do it then. And I said, perfect. Sounds good to me. From my birthday until like literally the day of the show, I have a gym that I go to twice a week. I had a playlist just of Taylor Swift songs that inspire me. I imagined myself in the audience. I imagined the outfit that I was going to wear. And I was scared because I'm like, this doesn't guarantee that I'll get tickets, but I'm just going to imagine myself anyway, because it's fun to think about me being in the crowd and all of these things. And then a month before May 26th, which is when night 1 was happening, I would check the resale websites every other day. I would check all of them throughout the day, seeing if anything was dropping. Nothing was dropping. And so it's May 26th now. So it's supposed to be night 1. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to give the least amount of effort possible. Let me just see how today goes, because we have 2 more days, right? Because I have a baby at home. It's a lot to ask of my husband and other people to just like take care of everything. So I just wanted to get a lay of the land. And I learned very quickly that this is not going to happen with minimal effort. And I know, Taryn, I probably called you at that point. I was supposed to give a recap, but I'm kind of diving into it. So if you heard this already, oops. But essentially what happened was it was really hard to get tickets. I had a certain budget that was actually high for most people, but it still wasn't high enough to actually get decent seats. I wasn't going to pay $1,500 to sit behind the stage last row, because that's what we were looking at. Like that was the cheapest.
And that was out of your budget anyway.
Oh yeah, that was out of my budget anyway. And I was like, even if I was like, oh, I'll splurge and do $1,500, I'm not going to do it for that seat. There's just no way. And so I remember I had a come to Jesus moment with myself. And I thought, all right, this is going to have to take extraordinary effort if I even get a chance to go. And so do I want to exert that effort? And then I realized, you know what? Yes, because I have not really done anything fun for myself. I love Taylor Swift. Not that I've agreed with everything that she's done, but since her Fearless album in 2008, it's been like a narrative for my life. And I'm a songwriter. And so there's just all these like elements that I love about her. And I thought, this is her peak prime tour. I need to make this. And I told you too before, Taryn, that like when Spice Girls were in their prime as a kid, I bawled my eyes out because I never got tickets. And then they ended up breaking up the next year. And like, granted, I was a kid and my parents didn't really help me know how to get tickets. But I remember just being like,
how old were you?
I probably was like 12 or 11 or something. But I remember thinking I was trying to win them on the radio. So like this ages me a lot, but like you
I
win
remember
tickets.
those days. I did the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, no,
On our
100%.
home telephones.
Exactly, on our home telephones.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
Busy
old.
signals.
Yeah, no, exactly. You had to be either the first one or like a certain number caller. And I remember bawling my eyes out. And so for some reason, I made a narrative that you're the girl that never gets to go. You're the girl that misses out. And I don't know why. I mean, we always create weird stories, right, around things. And so I started thinking that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the Spice Girls all over again. Like, I won't get to enjoy this show and I won't get to do that. And I know, obviously, yes, first world problems. I just really wanted to go, and I wanted a night to feel like myself again, because as a new mom, it's really hard to feel connected to what you love and who you are. And so I thought, okay, that's it. I'm going all out. And so 7 a.m. Saturday morning, I was on Discord, Twitter, on the resale sites. I learned about an auto refresh extension on my Chrome browser that refreshed it
I thought that was crazy that you learned about that. I was
Girl,
like, you had everything down except for like engaging AI bots for you. Like that was the last step.
Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah. And I learned it from Swifties on the Discord channel, and I never have used Discord except for this moment.
Wow.
And so I was so grateful for them because they told me all the tricks. And so, because before I was just sitting there, Command R, refreshing it. I'm like, I can't do this for 4 seconds for hours and hours and hours. And so, yeah. And so the whole point was it would auto refresh. And if a map showed up, that meant Ticketmaster was dropping tickets they've released from Taylor's team or a production or whatever. And so I literally am doing this, taking care of the baby in between, putting her down for naps, then getting back on the computer, maths on the computer. And then eventually we talk on the phone or you call me and I tell you what's happening. And you're just like, all right, I'm helping you. And I so appreciated your passion for that, because it was really.
I was at work and I'm like, I'm refreshing. I'm going on Craigslist now, trying to decipher, navigate through scammers, like who's real, who's not, and just it was really important to me that you get that ticket, because it was so important to you, because it's not about the ticket, it's about everything that you just explained, everything you've been going through and what this experience would mean to you, to get you back on a path where you're feeling like yourself again. And that is like, I was like, I wanted it for you so bad. So, if I could help, obviously I would just get the ticket. And, we both were just on that computer in the queue many times. Like you're on a rocket to the moon and then you're dropped down to the earth because you're like in the queue of Ticketmaster, because it keeps saying no tickets available, no tickets available. Keep refreshing. Some tickets become available, and then you get in this queue of 2,000 people and you're waiting there. You're waiting there for like an hour, and then boom, sorry, no tickets. And then you do it again. And it was just, it was crazy.
No, it was so crazy. And I think, during the afternoon, it was funny because it got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to the bank and I'm withdrawing a buttload of cash just in case it comes down to old school scalper method where you do the exchange in person and they only want cash. And it was when I was at the bank that I realized, because I kept refreshing Ticketmaster on my phone, and that's when tickets started dropping. And I think you also tried and Matt started trying. And it was just, it wouldn't let you check out because the bots that people have, resellers have, they were much faster. So anyways, it's Saturday and I'm
wait. Don't forget this. I feel like there's a really important piece of the story on Friday. A ticket actually came through for $650 for you. And you didn't recognize the location of where it was. So you just checked really quick. By the time you checked to realize that it was a floor seat for $650, you had missed the opportunity and you were devastated. You know what I mean? You were so disappointed. And, we were texting and I'm just like, look, like, just keep going, like trying to encourage you and support you to keep going, because that ticket came through, but that wasn't what was meant for you. But
I know, but no, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot about that. You're right.
Yeah, that's so important, because you were like, I can't believe it. And you were really, getting down on yourself, as we all do when we feel like we made a mistake. And I was like, look, that's normal and natural. Like, I wouldn't drop $700 on a ticket what if it was behind the stage? You didn't want to do that. you know? And so it was totally normal for you to check the location of it because you didn't recognize the code. And then when you found out it was gone and you were just like, you were so upset, understandably so.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
I remember thinking, one, I was so dumb because I should have just grabbed it. That was a good price. It was literally up for like 10 seconds on StubHub. I don't even know if it was real now because I'm like, how could you sell those seats for that? But regardless, it was there. It
was
said
there.
floor seat, $650. And I remember thinking too on Saturday, I was like, that was my chance. Like, I've been praying for an opportunity. That would have been so easy. Boom, got it on Friday, no effort. I was like, that was my response and I missed it. And now the universe is like, well, you snooze, you lose. That's it. And so I thought for sure that was it. Right. And so, yeah, it's Saturday afternoon. We're not getting any closer. You and I are reaching out to our networks of people that we know from music and otherwise. And it was just nuts. And I remember thinking,
and I told you also, I woke up, you know, sometimes I have a hard time sleeping. So I use that opportunity to pray for people. And I was up at 4:00 and I was praying and just envisioning that ticket for you, you know, like that experience. And I just kept praying and praying and praying, like, just please give her this experience. This is so important. It would mean so much. And, you know, and I was trying to stay positive as well. But, you know, we both knew that it was like a needle in a haystack. You know, you're up against thousands of people. Like, I hope people understand that this stadium holds 80,000 people, you know, there were still thousands and thousands of people trying to get tickets to this show. So I remember, you know, you telling me Saturday morning, you're like, you know, it's going to take a miracle for me to get a ticket. And I'm like, yeah, but just keep going.
I was just so into it that it's like, I have no idea all the other things that were going on around me. But no, I really honestly so appreciate it because most people don't have friends that are willing to be that like in it with you. And then also you like for a fact, if you had not been encouraging me and believing in a possible miracle, it would not have happened. And so anyways, so basically like Taryn said, it's 1 in a million. It's a needle in a haystack. Everything that I was trying is what thousands of other people were trying because just as easily as I found out how to do all the Ticketmaster refresh and like everything, so did everyone else. And so even when I did get a chance or in a queue, there were thousands of people doing the same exact thing.
It wasn't a matter of getting tickets because there still were some tickets available, but they were $2,000 to $3,000. So that was just way out of the budget, not feasible for what you and your husband had agreed upon. You know, obviously you have a family, you have a life and things to pay for. You know, you can't just drop $3,000 on a ticket, you know? So it's not that there were tickets available, but it was a matter of trying to get a ticket that was in budget, period. You know what I mean? Because like you said, even behind the stage, they were $1,500 and there weren't that many left. And they were literally thousands of dollars.
No,
So,
exactly. Yeah. No, it's exactly right. And I felt stupid partly because of the fact that I'm a mother and I have a family. Like, but I was like, okay, first of all, I want to show my daughter that when you want something, you just give it everything you got, even if you don't have a guarantee that you'll get a result. Second of all, I was like, you know what? I've been envisioning this for months. I don't want to be home on the couch another night exhausted. I want to be exhausted at a concert that I actually want to go to and dance and have fun. Yeah. Let's be real. I'm going to be tired no matter what. I was really determined, but by the end of Saturday, I was like, this is not going to happen. But the only thing I haven't tried was actually going to the venue. And I wanted to do that on Friday, but then I thought, I'm just going to see how this plays out. And then Saturday, I'll go to the venue if it is needed. And so it was needed because it was like 4 or 5 p.m. I gave my daughter a bath before bedtime.
And also this was Memorial Day weekend.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You're right.
We were talking about how like we were thinking that Friday you would have a better chance because, you know, kids are still in school and things like that. It'll be harder to go on a Friday. So we felt that, you know, trying for the Friday was going to be the best choice because it was Memorial Day weekend. So it's like kids are out, you know, people have the time and the freedom to go to the concerts on Saturday and Sunday more so than Friday. So,
yeah. So that was another thing, another layer of why we thought it would just be impossible to fit within these constraints. Like you were saying, like budget, timing, like all of these things. And so I get in my outfit because I'm like, well, I might as well just go down, get all excited with the other Swifties. I might as well see if I can at least get to a merch store or stand just to check it out, just to see what's going on. And then at least I can wear the outfit that I like imagined and found and bought. And then I can just
so cute, by the way. You look so
cute.
cute.
Thank you. Yeah. If you want to see a picture, it's on the blog post for it's like pink fringe, sparkly feather type, very lover era outfit. And so I get dressed and Matt and Gigi, my daughter, they take me to the subway and I'm like, okay, honey, I'll probably see you in like an hour and a half or so. Like literally, this was our conversation. I said, I'm just going to go feel it out and then come back home and we can just watch a movie, hang out.
And how far is the venue from where you live in New York City to Jersey?
It's like 45 minutes.
Okay.
And mind you, like I was terrified because first of all, have never gone to Jersey by myself. And second of all, I know how to navigate the subway, but to find the area of Penn Station that is for New Jersey, I was like terrified because I'm like, I don't know where.
Huge. If anybody's ever been to Penn Station, you got trains going everywhere in all different states and locations. Penn Station is huge. So yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, how am I going to find the Jersey one in time? Because there was only certain like times in the hour that it was going. But I went and then I just like kept looking at the signs and I had to go back a couple times, but then I figured it out and I found the platform. And when I went down the escalator to the train I was supposed to take, there was just a mob of people trying to get on the first two cars that you see, because that's what people tend to do. They're like, oh, this is the closest one. Let me just get on here. And I was like, okay, this is not the way to do it. I'm going to keep going down to see, like, there's no way I'm going to get a seat. So I went like a couple cars down, got on. The aisles were just packed with people. All the seats were taken. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to keep walking down the train cars to see if I can get a seat. And so that's when this family, mom and dad and a daughter, were sitting in this quad area.
Hold on. Before that, you were texting me because you texted me when you got on the train and you were just like, you were a bit deflated because you were like, I feel really stupid. I just remember you were like, I feel really stupid. I'm in the dress and I'm going down there and I don't have a ticket. And you were like, how am I even going to find scalpers? And I said, well, scalpers, if there are there, will find you. They'll be going around saying, do you need a ticket? But remember, I was stressing to you, like, don't go in without them scanning you in because there's so many scammers. And then you're like, do scalpers even exist anymore in the digital world? I was like, I have no idea, but like, you're going to try it. And you were just feeling down. And I just said to you, I'm like, Francesca, just look at this like an adventure that you're on. You're on an adventure. And be open, just be open because you never know who you're going to meet. And I remember that I texted you that. And then I didn't hear from you for half an hour. So now you can continue on the story.
I'm so grateful that you're explaining it from like your perspective, because I do want people to know that even when you manifest something that's amazing, it doesn't mean that you feel amazing the whole time doing it. It doesn't mean that you're like 100% sure it's going to happen.
And I wasn't 100% sure it was going to happen. For you. I believed it, but also I know the odds you were up against, but that's why I was trying to shift the focus to the experience and just being open because you were on an adventure with all these Swifties. Like you were saying, the train was packed. You were texting me, you're like, this is so cool. The train is packed with people. They're all going to Taylor Swift. They're talking about it. And, even though you felt really bad, you were also witnessing and experiencing like this collective love and joy of Taylor Swift's music. And so that was really cool. But like, that's why I was trying to shift the focus to the experience instead of the outcome, which is so important because we don't have control over the outcome. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. 100%. And you're right. Like as soon as you texted, I remember you texted me like, this is an adventure. My energy shifted and I thought, okay, this is an adventure. I don't need the outcome to be what I want to have this be a lesson for me and an important day for me and like a fun day for me.
And I think,
and a good experience. Yeah. Like I think that changed everything because
how often do you get a break like on your own with a 10-month-old? Like hardly ever.
Hardly ever. No, exactly. And exactly. And it was just cool. It was such a good, I mean, there's so many lessons, but that was like the main thing that I like sunk into is so many times we think when we want to manifest something, it's only worth it if we get the result. But I was like, no, like just trying and knowing I have the ability to try and I have the willingness to try was enough for me. And so I kind of just started having peace and I looked around, and then that's when the family I was sitting next to or with in that quad, the mother looked at me and was like, "You must think we're so ridiculous."
You sat next to this family and they were talking, like just totally obsessed with Taylor Swift about all the songs and all of that. And you were just sitting there observing. And then the woman turned to you and said that.
Yeah, exactly. I just laughed and said, "No, this is actually really fun because I love hearing everyone's thoughts and experiences." And so they kind of just looped me in from there. Nothing like on my mind at all. I actually didn't want to even tell them that I was ticketless because one, the stadium said don't come if you don't have a ticket. And then two, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they like judge me and think that you're not a big fan because you didn't get the tickets when they first went on sale? And like, I know. And that's like my negative talk sometimes. I hate to admit it, but
we all have it. We all have the negative talk. It comes, whatever it says, but it talks crap to our brains, basically.
No, for sure. And so I thought, okay, they're going to out me. They're going to like tell someone. They're not going to want to talk to me. And I don't know if it's, like I'm breaking the rules. Like I felt already so arrested. Yeah. Like I was just so nervous and scared the whole time.
Well, I remember you telling me when I was telling you to go down the day before on Friday, which you weren't meant to go on Friday. You were like, well, they said you can't be at the stadium. And I'm like, it's a public sidewalk. What are they going to arrest you for being on the sidewalk outside?
It's a public sidewalk.
Sidewalk. What are you going to do? You're going to arrest standing on the sidewalk.
Hey, are you going to tell them get off the sidewalk? I pay for this. I pay in my taxes.
Exactly. I was like, they can't stop you from being on the sidewalk outside of the stadium. But yeah.
Taryn, there were so many like nuggets that like helped me get to that point where I was on the train. But it's, and it's also because like you were removed from it. So you were able to be like my hype woman. And so I really appreciate it. Eventually, though, something inside me was like, you need to out yourself. You need to tell them. And so I was like, okay. So I looked to the daughter and I said, actually, I don't have a ticket. And they're like, wait, what? You don't have a ticket? And I said, no, I tried. And when they went on sale initially, I was 3-4 months postpartum and my brain couldn't even handle just like waking up half the time. So the whole Ticketmaster fiasco, I'm like, all right, next tour, I'll catch her. Like, I just can't handle this right now. And so then they started asking about Gigi and how old she was and all these things. And I, told them. And then I said, oh, and the mom said, well, we are not going in that stadium until you have a ticket. And I was so grateful she said that. But then I said, I don't want to like tamper with your experience of just walking in and enjoying the show. If you can help me find a scalper, though, that would be super helpful. Like if you can just even look for someone that might be selling, around the stadium as we walk towards the entrance, I would love that. And she's like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. And I was like, okay. And I said, at the end of the day, it's okay if I don't get in because I just wanted a night to myself where I could dance and have fun and feel like myself. And I said, but even if I don't get in, like, I still feel like I'm having a great experience and I'm getting to like meet people and all these things. And so she starts crying because she is a mother herself and said, I totally feel that and relate to that. You just want to feel like yourself. And it's so weird. Like I've never expressed myself that way. It just naturally came out. And I'm like, what is happening?
So it wasn't necessarily about the ticket, even though you love Taylor Swift, you just wanted this experience to feel alive again and feel like yourself, to kind of get back on track, to balance out motherhood and kind of some of the struggles that you've been going through. And she connected with that and started crying, right?
Yeah. And the crazy thing is I didn't even know that's why I was doing it until that moment. Like I really hadn't connected the dots for myself. Yeah, because to me, I'm like, oh, I'm having fun. And yeah, of course, it would be a night on my own. But I was like, to feel like myself again, I was like, oh my gosh, where did that come? Like, it just was like a spirit or something was just guiding me to say it because I didn't even consciously realize that. But anyway, so we keep talking. And then the dad's scrolling on his phone and he looks up at me and says, what's your name? And how do you spell it? And I spelled my name. And then he said, what's your email address? And I'm like, why? And he just starts crying, like bawling his eyes out. He's like, because you're going to go to the Taylor Swift concert. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I got a seat in the section next to us. And then the mom starts crying. I'm bawling my eyes out.
Like I'm crying right now. If you can, like, I cry every time because of just the generosity of these people. And that moment was such a special moment, you know, that
Yeah.
was,
I know now I'm crying.
I don't cry. So, and I obviously, because I care about you so much and I really wanted this experience for you, and that it happened in such a beautiful and unexpected way is just like, it's still mind blowing, you know, even a few weeks later. It's like, and everybody that I tell the story to has felt inspired, has felt like, wow, like the kindness and generosity of people still, because, you know, we get a lot of negative news and there's a lot of bad things happening, but it just goes to show you that there's so many good people still left in the world that, you know, will help you. And yeah, so I'll let you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And it's true. I remember just feeling so overwhelmed and thinking, why me? Well, why not me? But oh my gosh, that's so generous. And how could I ever repay this person? And just freaking out. And I didn't believe it was real. I was literally just in shock. And I remember we outside the stadium, I took a picture with the dad and the daughter because the mom took the picture. And then we walk in, and I have been saying thank you so much that the mom looked at me and she said, stop saying thank you. Just have fun and enjoy your night. She's like, it was our pleasure. We love doing stuff like that.
And also going back to our text exchange. So rewind, remember you text me when you got to the train. We talked about, okay, this is an adventure. Then I didn't hear from you for about a half an hour. And it literally was like 30 minutes, you know, and then 30 minutes after that text, you text me and said, Taryn, I'm in. I was like, I could not believe it. I was so confused because it was very quick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? 1 minute you were on the train texting me that you were feeling dumb, disappointed, you know, feeling defeated. Like, why am I doing this? 30 minutes later, I get a text that I'm in. And I'm like, I call you and you're like, let me call you right back. You're like, you're not going to believe this. Like it was unbelievable. I was literally screaming and dancing, jumping up and down in my living room because I was I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it.
I know. And I texted Matt too, my husband, and he's like, wait, what? And he showed me later, he screenshot my pin from, because you can follow each other to see where your location is. And we do that for like when he's coming home from work or like other things. And so he screenshot it because he's like, I just couldn't believe it. And he's like, I checked it and you were actually in the stadium. And he's like, I wanted to remember this moment. And so
that's so cool.
I know.
That's
yes.
awesome.
And I don't know if I included that in the blog post too, but anyways, and then I called you and I was like, Taryn, and I told you the story and you were crying. I was crying. And even now as we speak about it, I first of all can't believe that it happened, but then also just the divine essence of it all. And the weird thing is that even though it happened for me, I feel like it wasn't just for me. And I've never felt that before in my life. Like, yes, I got on the train and I just did see, this is the thing too. My friend Taylor pointed this out. She's like, the interesting thing is that I don't think every blessing needs all that effort beforehand. It's the fact that it was the thing that felt the least logical and that made the least amount of sense. That was your answer. And she's like, I bet you had you just gotten on the train, it still would have worked out for you, even if you hadn't done all those other things, because you were doing the things that were logically making sense. But to me, I'm like, going to the stadium, what difference is that going to make?
I also want to say this so that people understand. I'm sure that man paid at least in the ballpark of $3,000 for that ticket because you were in a great seat and we already saw what those seats were going for. So, you know, let's just put that into perspective. A complete stranger gave you a $3,000 ticket after talking to you for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, this, to me, obviously, you know, you just mentioned like the divinity of that. And, you know, obviously we believe in God and prayer. And it was such an inspirational story for me to be reminded that God cares even about the small things in our life, even about a Taylor Swift ticket. But it wasn't even about the ticket. You know, that's not what this is about. It's the whole experience from your personal journey that led you up to that moment. And then also showing the kindness and generosity and the humanity that still exists in this world, which is very powerful as well. So there's so many gems, which, by the way, you guys, you got to check out her blog where she breaks down all the lessons. I mean, we're like talking about the experience, all that, but Francesca's a fantastic writer, by the way. So she has a wonderful newsletter that gives so many gems. And she made a blog post about this that breaks down all the lessons that she extracted from this experience that I think is universal and applicable to all of our lives and to many areas of our lives. So check that out. I just wanted to say that.
And that's, I guess, what continues to blow my mind is like the experience transcended me. I was just the vehicle for the inspiration and the reminder that, like you said, we matter and the little things matter, even if it seems stupid to us. God cares about it. And then, the fact that like after 15 minutes or so, we were able to connect in a way that they wanted to do that. I'm just like, it's crazy. Like it came about in a way that the only thing I could control was that I got on the train. That was it. And I'm like, that is such a metaphor for life. Like how many blessings or opportunities are we missing because we're not getting on the train? We're not doing the thing that seems, well, and the funny thing is, in a way, it's also kind of easiest, right? Because all I do is get on a train and sit down versus Ticketmaster. I'm sitting there refreshing and I feel like I'm controlling the outcome.
But you also shifted your mindset on the train, because, had you continued to just feel defeated instead of opening yourself up to possibility and the adventure and the experience, maybe you would not have seen that. Maybe you wouldn't have, you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like that's really important.
100%. No, you're absolutely right. It was just so touching. And then I think also it's funny because even when I was at the concert, of course I was having fun and I loved it, but I just kept crying because the kindness of those people, it just kept affecting me and it was outshining anything else that I experienced that night. So,
and that speaks to what you were saying earlier about how you used to say, well, why me? And then that changed to why not me? And it's like, showed you that, I think it's such an amazing story because like when you win, I win, we all win, and that's the thing about supporting each other in life and our endeavors is when those that we love and we care about win, we're winning because they're showing us the possibility that something can happen for you overnight and in a moment. It can change your whole experience and that possibilities are out there, and it happened in a way that you could have never imagined. You could have never guessed how that would have happened, it's really cool. And that's why it's so inspiring, I think, for so many people, not just the kindness and generosity, but that also that's like, whoa, anything is possible because you and I never imagined that scenario as the way for you to get that ticket. Never.
Oh, it wasn't even like in the realm of possibility for us. And I'm so glad you brought that up because you're right. It shows possibility and like, imagine how many things that if we just handed it over and surrendered, there would be equivalent things that would happen in an instant and lightning quick. And you're right. It happened so fast and it happened in a way we didn't expect. And it's like all because I just surrendered and I got in the right mindset and I allowed it to come to me and I allowed myself to be open. And I feel like, wow, what else can we be open to? What else can we shift? And the thing is, we don't even have to imagine the possibility. We just have to release that we think there's a limit on the possibility and you just be open.
And I also want to talk about the flip side of this. So I am 100% sure that this was a very meaningful experience for that family to be able to give you that experience, and it's also showing us that if we have a focus on serving others and making the world a better place, we can find opportunities. And maybe we don't have the means to do something of that grand nature, but we could still have amazing experiences by focusing on like, who can I serve? How can I help? Who can I uplift? Who can I talk to? Because ultimately it's about those experiences. It's not about the end result, even though you had a great time at the concert, but it made it so much more meaningful for both parties. So you were on the receiving end, but it's also a good lesson for us to remember and be aware of opportunities to serve all around us every single day that will fill your life. Because this, I guarantee you, this is a moment they will never forget, because you were so grateful, and they don't really truly understand how meaningful it was for you. But even still, they know that it was a very impactful gift, you know? And so to be able to be on the receiving end, but then to also give those gifts to people, it just makes life a lot more enriching and full and beautiful, you know?
Oh my gosh. Yes, absolutely. And the crazy thing is that that one act of kindness has now amplified and inspired, I don't know, countless others, because you told your mom and sister, you told a bunch of other people, you
Everybody,
know. No, that's what I
everybody and
mean.
their mother, I've told them.
No, yeah. Matt has told everyone. Matt's mom was like, "Can I tell everybody?" I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." There's
And they
something.
all cry as well.
That's what I
They all
mean.
cry. Like,
There is something about this story. And that's what's so beautiful. There's something electrifying about this story. And the thing is, like, of course I cry too, and I can't put my finger on it, but I'm like, man, this is really capturing people, captivating them. And like, I've had people message me on Instagram saying, can you make a reel so that I can share this on my stories? Like, I've never had that happen before. So it's like, clearly this is hitting a chord with people, and it's all because they were kind for that moment. And I don't even think they realize, okay, hundreds of people now have felt inspired to go and pay it forward and like do good in the world, because this like reignited that desire.
and because we don't get those stories very often, you know, we're filled in a world with cynicism and negativity. And so it's like, when you hear something like that, it just sparks hope, you know, and that's what people need. They need hope that, you know, the world is not that bad, that there's good people all around you. You know, you never know wherever you are. And that also you can be that good person to make the world a better place, you know? It's very powerful, for sure.
It is. And it definitely altered my brain chemistry because
Mm.
it was a tangible, literal experience of what's possible. And so now I'm like, okay, you know, I obviously want to pay that forward as well. But I'm like, man, how can I continue to live in that energy of possibility? And like, what in my life do I actually not want that I say I want? Because that's also something else. Is like, I haven't felt that fire and desire to go after something in such a long time. And so now I remember the feeling in my body of when you actually want something and when you actually don't. And so it's kind of like throw me for a loop, because now I'm like, well, what do I actually want? Which I guess is good. Um, but man, I just want this story to go to as many people as possible, because it's really not about me and it's not about Taylor Swift. It's just about everything that converged together.
And I can say that, you know, I can speak to that for my own life. You know, I've been on a journey of pursuing dreams for a long time. Anybody that knows me knows it's been a really long time. And that's what I learned in my life, that like, I had those dreams and those desires, not necessarily to get a certain outcome, but to have the experience along the way, to meet the people that I've met, to have the experiences. I mean, it's just, you know, the beautiful moments, learning experiences, and sometimes I have achieved certain things and sometimes I haven't, but it's not about that. It's about going after your heart's desire, because it's going to take you on a path to connect you with people and experiences that you're meant to have for your growth, your joy, and, you know, then you pay it forward to other people.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned that, because had I not gotten that ticket, I genuinely feel like I would have been fine. Of course, I would have been like, oh, I wish I could have gone, but I was in such a state of just acceptance and being like, doesn't matter the outcome. But the fact that it was meant for me, because that's the thing. The opportunity is either meant for you or it's not, period. So
Well,
like,
also, and don't forget, at the beginning, I don't know if you remember this, but you were like, you called me and you're like, I'm scared. And I'm like, what are you scared about? You're like, I'm scared of being disappointed, you know? And I was like, well, I can understand that, you know? But you ultimately released that. You released that and you became open to the experience, you know? So that, yeah, I remember that just came to me right now. I had forgotten about that, but you were like, I'm afraid. I'm like, what are you afraid of? Like, you're a fearless person. Like, you know what I
thank
mean?
you. Well, it's funny because I think old me wouldn't have understood and been able to be aware of the fact that the reason I am like, I could have stayed home and been fine because I was scared of the outcome not being what I wanted it to be. So I think I'm grateful that I've had the like growth that I have to be able to recognize, okay, why am I wanting to stay home? It's because you're scared that the outcome won't be what you want. Okay, what do you want to teach your daughter? Because what you do is going to teach her something. And I'm like, well, I want to teach her that it doesn't matter what the outcome is. You go for it anyway. And you do it anyway. And you can do it scared. It's funny because like, you're so sweet. You say I'm fearless. My mom says I'm fearless. I'm like, yeah, but all I remember as a kid was having anxiety the whole time.
But you still move forward toward your dream.
Exactly.
So being fearless doesn't mean you don't have fear. It means you face the fear and do it anyway.
Exactly. You just keep going. It doesn't stop you 100%. I'm glad we pointed that out because I don't want people to think that fearless means you don't actually have anxiety or worries or any of those things.
No, sometimes you have the most fear and the most anxiety, but it's like at the end of the day, are you going to have the regret of not trying? I'm fully convinced as well that had you not got the ticket, you still would have had a really cool experience. You would have met some wacky, cool people. You know what I mean? You would have met other people that didn't get a ticket and you guys were just enjoying yourselves outside. I mean, I'm fully convinced that you still would have had a great experience because you were open to it. And we would have talked about that moment. Oh, remember that time you tried to get into the Taylor Swift concert and blah, 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 and you had all these experiences. But, because you were just open to the full experience. But obviously that wasn't meant. It was meant for everything to align the way that it did so that it can inspire so many people for sure.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I also want to add to that whatever it is that you want, whether it's a Taylor Swift ticket or whether it's a dream that you have or another thing, I truly feel like it's meant for you or it's not meant for you. And so you don't know at the end of the day unless you exhaust and try all options or you follow your intuition. And then, like you said, you might pivot or you might have like different experiences that aren't the exact goal, but you were meant to have them. But I just feel like freaking get on the train. Like regardless of your proverbial train, whatever that train is for you, it's like, even if you don't know, it could not work out, but still get on it anyway. Still try it anyway. I think, yeah, that was probably the most powerful lesson for me is like, I'm getting on the train. I'm not even expecting a ticket, but I'm going to get on it anyway. And imagine if I hadn't, my opportunity was on that train. And imagine if I'd been like, I'm going to listen to this fear of like not knowing the outcome. So I'm just going to stay at home and I'm not going to risk it. It's like, well, there goes the train of opportunity without me on it. That would have sucked. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But you got on the train.
That's right. So yeah. And I always feel like that regret question too is a really good one. And I feel like there's a lot of big decisions I've made in my life where I thought, well, I regret not doing this someday. And if I say yes, I do it anyway. And that's the reason why I got on the train. Because I was like, I'll regret not coming on the train because then I'll wonder what if. So that's all. I love using that question. If you're ever like, should I do this? Should I not? Will you regret it? If it's yes, go do it.
Well, and that's, I can speak to that as well. Like I can say that, for my life, because obviously I've had plenty of fear and many obstacles to overcome, especially in the pursuit of dreams, and sharing my, gifts and talents. But at least I can say that I literally, if I died tomorrow, that I gave it my all. I did the best that I could to pursue what was in my heart to pursue. And it's also it's not a linear journey. It's winding and up and down, and sometimes you're on the path, you're on fire, you're in a flow. Sometimes you're just totally out of it for a while and you're like, oh man, I'm not really pursuing what I love and what I want to do. But the point is like, we just keep going. You keep taking the risks, and that's so that you don't have those regrets at the end of your life. Hopefully we'll be around for a very long time and there's still, plenty of time to keep pursuing. But the point is, to just not leave anything on the table. Go for it. Really give it your all. Make as much effort as possible, to make things happen. So yeah, you did what you did. You got on the train.
Yay. Oh, I got teary-eyed when you said that though. And another thing that I was actually very surprised about, and we can wrap it up after this, but my love for songwriting reignited after that show. And I feel like, so writing books and songwriting has always been the thing that like my heart's been like nagging me about, but I've been either too afraid or my brain's like, that's not what the internet says to do. That's not what these experts say to do. And I kind of like talk myself out of the thing that I feel like I should be doing. And so I don't know what's going to happen from here, but I know I've had conversations. I'm like, I'm going to write for Taylor Swift. That's it. I'm going to songwrite with her because she would be so fun to songwrite with and challenge my skills. And like, that's like an impossible goal to me, but I already have ideas of like how I would do it and all these things. And so another thing too is, like you said, things ebb and flow when you're chasing after your dream. And right now I feel like everything's impossible because I have a baby. And I'm like, I have these big dreams, but I don't have a big enough container right now to hold them. And so I think it also counts if you can only do little bits at a time. Like I literally can,
100%.
yeah, like I can
100%.
literally only steal moments here and there for songwriting or other things, but I'm like, just chip away. It all counts. It all matters.
100%. And we talk about that all the time. We were just talking about that yesterday on the phone as I was in traffic. But and
you're in LA. Tell everyone you're in LA.
Yes, I'm in LA,
the capital of traffic.
I live on the road. What can I say? So I love the analogy of the human body, because, even putting half an hour of effort or little efforts every day towards a physical goal will make a difference. Absolutely makes a difference, but we feel like, oh, I got to go to the gym 2 hours a day. I got to do this and that. It's like, well, yeah, it would get you to your goal faster, all of that. But those little things along the way, those little efforts. I think I was telling you when I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but I lost 50 pounds because I had gained a lot of weight. And it felt impossible, absolutely impossible to lose that weight. I felt heavy. I felt, just my back was hurting, all of that. And I just started making little efforts every day. And again, it wasn't a linear journey. It was like very consistent, not consistent, but I kept making those efforts. And eventually I lost 50 pounds, but if I just kept focused on the mountain of the, 50 pounds seemed like 5,000 pounds. And, then I would have never achieved that. I wouldn't have made the effort, so it's like just little efforts every day count. And that's towards your dreams, towards your goal. It definitely will make a difference. So.
Yeah. And that's the same as seeing it as an adventure. You're enjoying the journey versus looking at the end goal, and you're making it a lifestyle. You're making your decisions and what you do with your time a lifestyle. Right. And so I think that's amazing. I love that. Thank you so much, Taryn.
Of course.
I love this.
For bringing me apart. I'm grateful you had that goal and the dream to go to Taylor Swift, and that I could be a small part of it. And it's just been really fun. And I hope people really get inspired on so many levels from this. I know they will. So yeah.
Yeah. No, and thank you, because I'm so lucky that you're the kind of friend that gets all in with my dreams with me, and that you're there like cheering me on.
And you do the same for me, which I'm so grateful for.
Well, I wouldn't have gotten on that train if it wasn't for you. So literally, you're pretty much the key to this whole thing. But I'm glad too that we had this conversation recorded, because this literally is what our conversations sound like. Every day, or like at least every week, we have conversations like this.
And you said in your podcast about this, that everybody should have a friend like me. Well, everybody should definitely have a friend like Francesca, for sure. I'm very, very blessed to have you in my life. And, we're on this journey, crazy life, pursuing dreams and goals, and living our lives. And it's beautiful. And I'm grateful for that. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. And of course, and we definitely can't do things alone. That's for sure.
Oh, I love that in your podcast. That was great. Everybody, you got to listen to the podcast, because that episode also details other things that we didn't talk about. So you got to get all the nuggets of the story, for sure.
Yes. And I'll make sure that those are linked in the show notes. So if you haven't heard it or you want to re-listen to it, you can go ahead and click through there. Thanks, Taryn.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you like what you're hearing so far and feel inspired or changed or just motivated after hearing this message, please consider joining our membership. We work so hard to dissect information and make it simple and digestible for you, so you can go out in the world and be a light, connect to your authentic self. And we really want to continue being that landing place for you. So if you're considering even one message or brand to support, we hope that you'll consider ours. And if you want a link for that, it is in the show notes.